tuned into Recovery TV, the voice of hope, with your host, John J. Tassoni Jr. Discussions and information on addiction and mental health issues. Now, here's John and today's guest.
Welcome to Recovery TV, and I'm your host, John Tassoni. Thank you for joining us today. I'm going to do a little bit different segment today. We're going to talk about psychiatry. My guest today is Jim Florio and Dr. Gallo from South County Psychiatry. Welcome, gentlemen, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you.
So there's been a lot of talk on the street pertaining to psychiatry, meaning that we don't have a lot of psychiatrists because we don't pay. Is that true? I know I'm stumping you. Is that true?
I think the rates, from my understanding, the rates compared to neighboring states
Right.
is suppressed.
Right, right. And I also know that from speaking to people at Hasbro, Butler, and a few others, that there's a long wait to get an appointment because of the lack of psychiatry in Rhode Island. And that's because Rhode Island doesn't pay. You know, when I was in the General Assembly, we were around 1 to 3 top in the country for mental health and substance use. I can tell you today we're around 48. What happened? They took their eye off the ball, they didn't pay attention to business, and now we got a quagmire of people dying of overdoses. The length of stay is terrible in residential treatment. You can't get a psychiatrist. It's an 8, 9, 10-month wait, and the emergency rooms are stacked with people, and they can't be seen. I've had stories and people calling me in my office that they walked out. They walked out of Butler. They walked out of Roger Williams. They walked out of Rhode Island and Merriam, and it goes on because they can't stand waiting for service. The system is broken, and it needs to be fixed. So tell me a little bit about your practice.
So I left Lifespan Rhode Island Hospital about 4 years ago, and I decided to start my own practice. I'd been having some outpatients at Rhode Island Hospital and decided to start my own practice so that I could serve patients in the community because there was such a need. And at first it was just myself and an office manager, and we have just grown exponentially over the past 4 years. So now that we are a tri-state, fully comprehensive mental health treatment program. We have outpatient medication management, outpatient psychotherapy, transcranial magnetic stimulation for people who have severe depression. We have neuropsychology. We have weight and wellness. We have an intensive outpatient program. We have pediatrics. We have geriatrics. So there's an enormous, enormous need out in the community, and that we've been trying to, and successfully, I think, responding to.
You see more of these issues after COVID?
I think COVID did a couple of things for psychiatry. I think that it brought out some of these issues that were already kind of brewing there. And then once the telemedicine restrictions were lifted, I think you had a deluge of access so that people could now access services in a way that they never could before, which is excellent.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right, because when people are in their homes and they know they can ask you as a doctor a question rather than getting on 4 buses in order to get to your facility, it's a lot better because access to care is a lot easier, you know. And from what my understanding is that the feds in October, the end of October or November, are going to put it in permanently to the telemedicine, because there was conversations about cutting it off, but the access to care would not be as easier for patients. Now, Jim, let me ask you a question about patients.
Sure.
So there's been a lot of conversation about access to care and the wait time to get. I call your office, and you may. I don't know if you do this, but you may say, "Listen, I'm sorry, but I only can book next March." Is that happening in your practice?
Well, to be honest with you, John, it's a crisis nationally and locally.
Right.
Having said that, because we offer so many alternative levels of care, we can actually have a clinician assess the individual to see if they meet the needs of an intensive outpatient program, for example, as opposed to general outpatient. It really depends on their crisis, the severity of the issue, and by building this enterprise the way we have in the last year, which has allowed us to grow in each of these capacities, it really opens up doors to access. And every case is different. So, you know, a lot of times in the community we hear about access for a psychiatrist or access for a psychologist. But the reality is, each case needs to be assessed before an individual is placed in one of these programs. So I will tell you that for some programs you can get in tomorrow, and other programs it may take 2 or 3 months at South County Psychiatry. But Dr. Gallo and I's responsibility is to keep our finger on the pulse. And what I mean by that is, as we continue to grow, to continue to recruit, and to recruit the best clinicians in the area. That's really our goal, so that we can continue to provide more access as we grow. And ultimately, we've done that in the last year. I will tell you that we've hired over 30 employees from corporate cultures locally, like Lifespan and Care New England, over the last 9 months. And that's saying something. You know, individuals are looking to get outside of the corporate culture and join an enterprise like ours that offers more flexibility, autonomy, allows us to grow together, allows people to have a voice at the table as we look to develop these really important programs for Rhode Islanders in the local community.
Yeah, you look at these big corporations. I mean, there was a thing on the other day about millions of dollars paid to the CEO, and you have people at the bottom of the barrel just about making ends meet. But let me ask you a question about people that you serve. Is it young people? Is it adolescents? Is it adults? Is it men? Is it women?
It's everybody.
It's everybody.
I mean, we have people, little kids, who may come in for neuro testing, 4, 5, 6 years old, and we have patients in their 90s.
Well, that's good to know, because we at the Leadership Council get those calls all the time, looking for people who can take adolescents, who looking for people to take young kids. You know, it's different because we're up on the call list. So we get the call. We don't provide service. We're a trade organization. But I do a lot of referrals of people that call, whether they have my number from the TV show or my regular business. My cell phone's on 24/7, and I'm like the traffic cop. You know, put you over here, put you over there, put you over there. But the biggest issue is adolescent care. Adolescent care, because you can't find anybody. But now I know somebody.
Right.
Now I got a friend. But in your organization, the people that you serve, is it mostly men to women or women to men?
I don't think we don't have the specific demographic breakdown, do we?
In terms of patients or employees?
No,
And
patients.
Patients. Oh, we don't have the breakdown.
No, but I mean, probably about equal. Maybe a little more, a little less.
Yeah,
on
no,
one way, but
I ask that question all the time to folks that come on the show, just to see where we are in Rhode Island as far as
I think it's probably
aspects
around
of
equal.
men and women. We're going to take a quick break because I want to ask a little bit more about adolescent care to you guys when we come back. You're watching Recovery TV, and I'm your host, John Tassoni. We'll be right back after these messages.
And now, back to Recovery TV with your host, John J. Tassoni Jr. Recovery TV is made possible by our supporting sponsors and our title sponsor, AdCare. Now, here's John and today's guest.
Welcome back to Recovery TV, and I'm your host, John Tassoni. Jim Florio and Dr. Gallo from South County Psychiatry are my guests today. Talk a little bit off the cuff today about psychiatry and what is needed throughout the state. So, gentlemen, thank you for joining us, and thank you for what you do. Obviously, we all know there's a shortage, but I think I got the biggest ball players on the field right here with me today. So, thank you very much for coming in. Specialty programs. Do you have any kind of specialty programs that you hone in on?
Yeah, we're really lucky over the past year, actually, to have developed 3 specialty programs. There's a shortage of neuropsych testing in the community, and we've just opened our program within the past year, and actually just another clinician is starting today. These are people, mostly kids with ADHD, learning disabilities, those kind of issues. Second of all, we are extremely fortunate to have had our own weight and wellness program now. After over 30 years, Lifespan ended up closing the Center for Weight and Wellness down about a year ago. And because Jim and I had connections at Lifespan, and we knew the doctor who ran the program, we ended up having the whole program come over to us.
Wow.
And it was, it's really a privilege. Dr. Vincent Parra is well known in the community, has been doing this again for over 30 years. And what's really exciting is that we are really the only truly comprehensive weight program around. You have some people who do meds, you have some people who do nutrition. We have those aspects. We have behavioral health. We have an exercise physiologist on staff. We use meal supplementation using the OptiFast products. And then if necessary, we have relationships with bariatric surgeons that we can refer them to if they decide to go that route. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes bariatric surgeons will refer those patients to us after they've had surgery to help them maintain the progress they've had because of the surgery. Mm-hmm. So it's really an amazing opportunity to have that integration between psychiatry and the weight and wellness program.
I find that it's a home run. It's a home run for people. We're up there with obese people in the country, right here in Rhode Island.
And if you're obese and you're not exercising, your mental health is going to get worse.
Right.
Right? We also know that it goes in the other direction as well, that if you have poor nutrition, it actually is a hyperinflammatory state which predisposes you to depression. So I had this opportunity to take on this program, and it was just a natural fit to me because we're already doing some of this stuff already, talking to patients about diet and exercise. So this wasn't a big shift for us. It was kind of just more like a little bit of an addition.
Yeah, and I'm sure it works down to your staff, too, the culture of your workers. You want to hit on that a little bit, Jim?
Sure, yeah. Dr. Gallo and I come from the same background. Italian Americans, grew up in Rhode Island.
Probably related, actually.
Probably, right.
I think we all might be related.
Might be, right. And the way we were raised a certain way also transpires into our vision and our mission, right? So for us, it's really important to treat people like humans at South County Psychiatry and not numbers.
Right.
And along the lines of giving an opportunity for everyone, not just someone in a leadership role to have a voice, but everyone. Anyone at a team meeting has a voice, has an idea, a way to solve a problem, a creative way to open a new program, or whatever it may be. It's coming together as a team and providing those opportunities so people feel inspired, they feel valued, and also they have a way to grow within the organization. So our growth and our strategy also has to match all of our employees' vision.
Right.
And so that's our responsibility. What we offer is an alternative to what I would consider corporate culture. A lot of times you hear of these big practices in the community, without mentioning any names, who are integrated in hospital systems. The problem with those programs is they operate under the confines of a hospital structure.
Right.
And sometimes they get lost in the discussion. Here we can focus on what we have.
The discussion.
The discussion, right? And what's really impressive is over the last year, we've had over 50 people join us. So we went from a program of 14 to an enterprise of close to 70 employees in the last 12 months. And the end is we continue to grow as we speak. Just along today, we've had 8 new clinicians join us from major organizations in Rhode Island that worked there for many years. And so you say, well, what does this all mean? It's called the domino effect. You treat people well, they treat people well, okay? You have clinicians coming to you that worked in the field for maybe 10, 15, 20 years and never had a chance to speak up and voice their thoughts. Here, not only do they speak about what they want to do, but they have our support to do it.
And I tell people on day one, we want to hear from you. Talent is everywhere. Opportunity is not.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So you never know where that next idea is going to come from.
Right. And it could be just something that's very minute.
Right.
of an idea that blows up to a huge thing for the company.
Jim can tell you I do not have a monopoly on good ideas. He gets about one a day from me, you know, but...
But you know what, you're 100% right. I mean, when you work for corporate America and then you move to a small operation, it's a lot different, a lot different.
Well, you can actually, if you talk to any of our new employees within a day, within the first week, they feel less stressed. Feel less stressed immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, if they have to have something done, it doesn't matter if it's hanging a picture on the wall in their office or an idea to print a new form or a policy. It takes us days, not months, to get it done.
Right.
And Jim and I often will do it ourselves. You know, we talked about Jim and I coming from, you know, my mother's from Johnston. You know, we have, you know, a lot of connections in the area. When we opened up our new weight and wellness program on Pontiac Avenue, Jim and I were the ones after hours laying down laminate floor and painting. And, you know, and I also think that really reflects on the mission. You know, as you probably know, we had that very unfortunate issue a few months ago with that shooting of that, you know, in Johnston. And Jim said, you know, I'm going to reach out to the community, right? You know, Jim lives in Johnston. And he said, I'm going to reach out to the community. And we posted something on Facebook. And there was an enormous outpouring of, thank you so much for doing this. And, you know, some people, they were like, oh, I bet you don't take insurance or blah, blah. It's like, no, we do take insurance.
See, that's the whole misconception that's out there, you know, that I get, and that it reflects on the community, meaning yourselves. Oh, that they're only in it for the insurance. They're only in it for this. They don't take this insurance, but they take that insurance. You know, and it's a lot of misconception. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to have the show, is to get people information so they can make their own decisions. You know, and it's not a decision that's made in a phone booth. I have all sorts of folks. Last thing I did was a bullying in schools, which is a big issue. You know, alcoholism, drug issues, social services issues. There's a lot. We're going to take another quick break so I can pay the bills. We'll be right back. You're watching Recovery TV, and I'm your host, John Tassoni. We'll be right back with the South County Psychiatry.
Now, back to Recovery TV with your host, John J. Tassoni Jr. Recovery TV is made possible by our supporting sponsors and our title sponsor, AdCare. Now, here's John and today's guest.
Welcome back to Recovery TV, and I'm your host, John Tassoni. South County Psychiatry is in the house. Jim and Dr. Gallo, thank you both for joining us today. I will tell you, this is my third season. You are the first psychiatrist to come on my show. So.
And the last?
No, you won't be the last.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you that right now. You're not going to be the last. Too much going on.
I don't know if you regretted it already.
No, let's talk about IOP quickly.
Yeah, we have this. We're really, really excited. We have an intensive outpatient program. People are so depressed that they can't work, they can't function, but maybe don't want to go into a psych hospital. We have amazing access. People can get in within a couple of days. We just expanded our program today because there was such an overwhelming need. We have world-leading researchers on our team, including Dr. Mark Zimmerman, who's literally helped write the book of psychiatry, the DSM. It is, in my opinion, the best program around.
How do I get in South County Psychiatry?
401-268-5333. www.southcountypsychiatryri.com.
You have Facebook, you have Twitter.
Twitter.
No Twitter.
We'll have Twitter tomorrow.
Oh,
LinkedIn.
Twitter tomorrow. So you didn't know
I didn't even know that.
There you go.
LinkedIn.
Well, I want to thank you both for joining us today, and love to have you back on, because this is an area where I know Rhode Island is lacking, and they need guys like you to move the ball down the field. So thank you so much, and thank you for joining us today. You've been watching Recovery TV, and I'm your host, John Tassoni, here with South County Psychiatry. If you need it, give them a call. We'll see you next week.